everybody, welcome. Thank you for spending your time here today to listen to different ones of us. And here today, I just want to share my experience and my life that I have been living with epilepsy. And for some of you, you might have epilepsy yourself. You might have a child with epilepsy, or you might be caring for someone with epilepsy. And I just want to encourage you with the sharing today that even though I am an NNI patient and I see the doctor once a year still, I take my daily medications and I live with epilepsy. Just want to share with you all that it is very possible to live a full life with epilepsy. So let me just share with you my experience. And today I am here. My name is Cara, as you can see on the slide, and I have been serving in the early childhood education industry in Singapore since I was 19 years old, right? And today I am, I will tell you my age, I'm actually 36, and I've been living with epilepsy since I was 13 years old. Yeah, but today I am serving as the Deputy Director in Anglican Preschool Services, and I lead a group of over 20 preschools in Singapore, together with over 350 educators. So with that, let me just share with you how you can live a full life with epilepsy, and here's my story. So when it all began, I was 13 years old. You know, one fateful day, I was just walking up the stairs in my house, and I just felt a very, very bad headache. And when I had that headache, I was just walking up to my room. I just knew I needed to lie down. I had no fever, nothing. And the next thing I knew, I was forcing myself to wake up. And I realized that around me, I was in an ambulance, and my parents had rushed me to the hospital when I was 13 years old. And that was when I had my very first seizure. No fever, no signs, no nothing. And of course, you can imagine, for those of you who are parents, it might have been quite scary. And my parents just, they were not sure what happened, and they just thought, okay, we would just have to rush her to the hospital. So that was 23 years ago when I first had my seizure. And of course, after that, they did all the scans. They suspected everything from tumor to, they tried to scan for everything, but couldn't find anything, right? And so the doctors then decided that I need to be on medication because it was a very sudden thing that struck me. And with that medication, I was put on it for 2 years. And that particular medication kept me well for 6 years. So after 2 years of medication, I was fit-free for 6 years. Yeah, but during those 2 years of medication and kind of crossing over into the 6 years, I had a lot of side effects to the medication. And as a young person at 13, I experienced weight gain, a little bit of hair loss. And the truth is, I was very image conscious at that point. You know, for a young person to feel like, yeah, you're just putting on weight. And also for us who are girls, sometimes we might feel a bit conscious of our image. And also a little bit of fear of the future. At that point, maybe I still didn't really know what it really meant to be living with epilepsy, but I was quite affected by the physical side effects then. Yeah, so I was about 13, and then after 6 years, I actually started my first job as a preschool teacher when I graduated from Ngee Ann Poly in the early childhood sector. And at that point of time, I declared, that I had seizures, and of course I was a bit afraid also whether I would get a job, but thank God all of it went well, and I was able to land a job in preschool. And as the doctors advised that I should then tell the people around me on how to manage if I have a seizure, right? And adding on to that, of course, I also started my journey from my diploma in my education journey, and went on to do my degree after that, and finally also in my master's in the year 2012. Yeah, and I was on that program for about 3 years, and ever since then, I've continued serving in the early childhood sector. Yeah, but in between then, from 13 to where I am today, 36, it wasn't always very smooth, right? I had 4 relapses along the way. And in and out, I wasn't sure whether I'll be taking medication for life, because the doctors at NNI were very, very helpful and caring and sharing with me how I can take this forward a step at a time. And most unfortunately was one of my relapses actually happened in the workplace. And thankfully, because I had done what the doctors had told me, my colleagues around me actually knew what to do. And I was safe, even though I had the attack. Right. So today I'm here to share with you that I have been on this medication. Maybe some of you are also taking it. I've been on it for 16 years now. It's been a long time. And the doctors have tried to take me off medication, but it didn't quite work. I had a relapse, and then, like I shared, 4 relapses. So there is a possibility that I may be on this medication for life at this point. And to today, I have chosen that my life will not be greatly impeded by epilepsy, and I will continue to share with you here how I have managed this, so that everyone who's listening here, and even people that you know who may not be listening, can find hope in their life even though they have epilepsy. So of course, here are some of the challenges that I faced when I was managing my epilepsy and until today. First of all, of course, my social circle and my social stigma. Do I tell other people that I have it? What will other people think of me? Would they think I'm weird that I have epilepsy? And of course, coming to terms with my diagnosis. Why me? Where did this come from? I don't think anybody around me has it, but why do I have it? And people usually have it when they have a fever, but how come mine was not childhood epilepsy? Actually, what's wrong with me? And then finally facing the reality and learning to manage it in my life. So here are some of the things that I would like to, keywords that I would like to use to just share how I have managed my life and to live it as fully as I can. So in my social and emotional support, I want to encourage us that, this is a very important, I would say, a safety net that we all need to have. And for those of us who are caregivers, I want you to know that you play a very key role in providing that safe and secure place for the person who's living with epilepsy to feel accepted and to feel that the person's not left out in any way. So I'll start off with first my family. Of course, none of them have had epilepsy before, but each and every time I see the doctor and I hear the news, my family, someone is with me usually. And even if someone is not able to be with me, whenever I share with them, they will always think about, okay, moving forward, how can we move forward? How can we support one another? And they will also play a very key role in reminding me on how I need to care for myself and what are some of the telltale signs and all of that. And of course, my friends as well. I had to kind of teach my friends how to manage me and what the triggers are. In my particular case, I have generalized epilepsy, right? So there are no specific physical triggers around the environment, but my epilepsy is triggered by stress, exhaustion, fatigue, lack of sleep, and all of that. And so, of course, which young person doesn't have stress and fatigue? We all do, right? And even to today, I still face that. But knowing that I could tell my friends that I have this condition, they were also part and parcel of reminding me that, hey, don't be too stressed. It's okay. Don't worry. Even if you cannot join us, if we need to go back earlier, it's fine. We can meet earlier. So there are things that we can do, to set up that social support for ourselves. And of course, in the workplace, I would really encourage you, not to hide the fact that you have epilepsy. But when you do share that you have epilepsy, I think what is really important, and I've learned as well, is that you need to give your employer the confidence and share how you have set up the systems around you to support yourself, and that you know how to manage this. And even if you cannot control your epilepsy, at least they know that who they can call and how it affects you or does not affect you, right? So I think that's important in the workplace. And finally, for me personally, of course, when I go through times when I ask myself these questions and I think what people think of me, my spiritual, my personal faith, I'm really, really thankful that in my church community, many people have come around to pray with me, to pray for me, or just to hear me out, and just to have this sense that, God still can take care of me, whatever that my hands cannot reach and that I'm not personally able to control. So that is my social and emotional support. And of course, after during the period of time when I was fit-free, after 2 years of taking medication, I went into this period of coming to terms with my diagnosis. And I'm not sure about some of you who are listening, maybe some of you may have only just found out that you have epilepsy. Some of you may have been living with it for even a longer time compared to me, or some of you may have just recovered and just gotten off medication. Some may have just started. So for me, I remember the day that I saw the doctor, and the doctors at NNI very lovingly, shared the news with me that there might not be a very I asked this question, will I ever be cured from epilepsy? Is there a day that I can say that I am free from epilepsy and I do not have it anymore? Of course, the doctor looked at me and said, with your condition, of course, it's not so clear-cut, and that you need to learn how to manage your life. So of course, I was thinking, does it mean that for life I will have this condition and I will never be cured? So that was something that brought me into this another stage, which is coming to terms with my diagnosis. So I went through, why me? Why me of all the people? And of course, on the other side, when I pray and I talk to my friends and all that, other people also have their own challenges, right? Not only people with epilepsy struggle with challenges. And so I also think to myself, why not me? Why do I need to choose to see epilepsy as like a death sentence or a life sentence? I don't have to be that way, right? So of course, then I went on to, checking on my family history, because I realized that sometimes it is hereditary. I went to read up more of epilepsy to understand the situation, to understand the type of epilepsy that I have, and to not conjure ideas in my own head. Don't allow yourself to spin up ideas and stories that, when I have epilepsy means it's the end of the world. It's not like that. We should be more informed. And if you are caregiving for someone who has epilepsy, who may not be able to read or really understand epilepsy, and when you do that on that person's behalf and are able to assure that person, right, with the facts, I think it will help as well. And this is not an overnight thing. This is a step-by-step, day-by-day, sometimes seizure by seizure kind of a journey, right? And of course, it brought me during that time to start to count my blessings. I realized that, there are many things that can happen. The fact that I'm still alive today, the fact that we have the opportunity to have good medical care in Singapore, I think that's another thing that's really worth thanking, thanking God for me, and also being able to have access to medication. That's also something that we can see and we can choose, right, to that positive perspective. And of course, having not many countries in the world actually have a neuroscience institute. And for NNI to organize even such an event like this, when I learned that this is the first time that we have such an event, and I thought that, it'd be good for me to just really share my story and to help you all to see that life is not the end of the world. Okay. And of course, I still have my friends, I still have my family around me, and I still know of other people who also struggle with epilepsy. I know of children in my preschools who also struggle with epilepsy, right? And of course, finally choosing the positive perspective. And towards the end of my presentation, I will also share with you a little story of how what I have gone through in my life has really helped me to deal with my current work as well. So finally, this point on facing reality. So, once I set up my social network, my support network, and also I learned how to, come to terms with the diagnosis, I have to manage it every day, right? When I'm by myself, when I'm at work, when I have late nights, when I have events and all that. The truth is that at the top of my managing of epilepsy is we all need to know how to care for ourselves. What are your trigger factors? So for me personally, my trigger factors would be lack of sleep. That's a really, really big trigger factor. And it was a little bit unfortunate that I only found this out because I had a few relapses. And we could see the pattern from there, right? So I have learned now, or I'm still learning and practicing the rhythm of self-care. Maybe it could be something as simple as, telling the people in your workplace that, I'm setting a discipline because of my situation, that I want to wind down my mind and start, I will turn off all my emails and everything by about 10 p.m. right? That's something you could do. What else is it that helps you to de-stress? For me, it's really meeting up with my friends one-to-one, just sharing life, having a good laugh, having a good cup of coffee. You know, that is also part of self-care. Yeah. And also the other thing is I always share with the people around me, whether my friends, my colleagues, on how to manage epilepsy. If for some reason, when I'm out with them and something happens, I am listless, or I'm just suddenly not looking at them, or suddenly I just faint or whatever. And if I have a seizure, how should they respond? Who do they call, right? It gives them a sense of security that, okay, these people know I can contact them. And, you know, this is what you need to do. Turn me to the side, you know, make sure that I have enough air around me and I'm not choking, so that, yeah. So these are things that I will share with them very honestly, right? And my friends are very kind, have been very kind, you know, and if you, if you are open enough to share, I think it will really, really help them on how to manage you. And they will not be so fearful going out with you as well, especially if it's one-to-one, right? Of course, for me today, I better understand the side effects that are part and parcel of taking this medication. So I'm more selective with the kind of food that I eat, because my metabolic rate was a little bit affected when I started taking the medication. So I choose my carbs, you know, some simple thing that I put in place. I do not really struggle with hair loss as much now. But sometimes I still feel like, yeah, maybe it still plagues me, you know, but I don't feel so affected by it right now because I've lived with it. I now understand the side effects better. All right. And of course, make slow and steady lifestyle changes. And the main point of this managing epilepsy is really that you want the changes that you make to be sustainable. Right, sustainable. And it helps sometimes if you are supporting someone, you know, with epilepsy, to do it alongside that person, right? So sometimes I will call my friends, or sometimes my parents will go out for a slow walk, or, you know, just unload all the things that are causing me stress, and just, yeah, care for myself and make some little lifestyle changes here and there. Yeah. And of course, here I am today after many years and living with epilepsy. I don't know how many more years I want to live with epilepsy, maybe my whole life, you know, I'm not sure. But at this point, I want to show you that, you know, my life has been very full still. I'm able to enjoy holidays. I'm able to enjoy a good meal with my friends. I'm able to go overseas, and yeah, I've even done, you know, stints where I have short solo trips and just, you know, tell my friends that whom I trust how to manage. I serve in my church very actively, enjoy food, enjoy ice cream, as you can see, coffee. My life is very normal, you know. So there are certain things that those of you who live with epilepsy will not do as well. For example, you wouldn't be swimming on your own, right? There are sacrifices that I make. Swimming happens to be my favorite exercise, right? But I've had to change to become a land animal instead of a water animal. And also, if I want to swim, just make sure that someone is with me. Yeah, so you can enjoy the things in your life, and you must choose. No one can choose for you. No one can choose for me, right? If I choose not to live a full life, then it's my own life, right? Yeah. So you can choose a full life for yourself. And I really hope that you will choose a full life for yourself. Make slow and steady changes. Choose to live a full life alongside someone whom you know, a loved one or a friend who might be living with epilepsy. And I think it will really make a big difference to their life and managing it in the days to come. Yeah. So finally, I want to, as I promised, I will share with you a story of hope. That I see, you know, that having epilepsy is not necessarily a wasted thorn in my flesh, a pain, because I've actually been able to encourage a lot of people around me who know that their children struggle with epilepsy. I've actually had cases in my preschool where I seen a child had an attack, a seizure, and I knew how to handle it. You know, I knew how to advise a parent, and, you know, when to call the ambulance and call the parents and what to do with the child. And I've also seen an adult actually have a seizure sitting right in front of me in a coffee shop. You know, the adult just broke into a seizure, and I'm able to empathize more with others and able to ask someone to help to bring him to the clinic nearby, just to ensure that sufficient oxygen is going to his brain and he's not choking and someone is with him. And I've seen it. So I can understand how it can be quite scary to see it, right? But these things come and they also go. Yeah, many of us struggle with these thorns in our flesh, right? But I want to leave you with this quote from Pete Wilson. It says that we can't live without hope. When we keep hoping, we keep living. Yeah, so I hope really every day in my life that I will live a full life. I will do the things I want to do, maybe not really in the way that I would like to do it, but I'm sure there are many ways around, living that full life. And here we are in Singapore. I think we're very blessed to be in this nation where medical care is right at our doorstep, really. And what we must control is really our will to hope and to live a full life, just as I have. So here, I just really want to extend a word of thanks for all of you, for your kind attention and listening to my story. And I wish you all God's richest blessings. Stay safe and take care. A special word of thanks will go out to all the nurses and the doctors in NNI especially, whom have cared for many, many thousands of patients that have come and go and still living with epilepsy today. Thank you very much for being part of that support network for me and for the other people in Singapore. And continue to stay safe and take care. Thank you very much for listening.